Hey guys, this is Varun from Mr. Phone, and today we have a very special laptop for you guys. This right here is the ASUS ZenBook 13. But this isn't just any ZenBook. This is the 30-year anniversary edition, as you can see from this sweet gold logo. So what's so special about this laptop and how is it different from the standard ZenBooks out there? Stay tuned, for I've got a lot to talk about in my review of the ASUS ZenBook 13 UX334. Now before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon to make sure you're tuned in for all our upcoming videos. Now, if you've been watching a lot of videos that I've been doing on this channel, you know that I'm not a fan of unboxing all those laptops because let's be honest, there's nothing peculiar about all of them. Sadly, or actually fortunately, in this case, the ZenBook 13 is actually quite different. Take a look. And well, this is the ZenBook 13. Now just a small heads up, this is the 30th anniversary edition and sadly it won't be up for sale in India. However, you can get the ZenBook 13 in the regular royal blue color, which is priced quite competitively. The only thing you'd be missing out really would be this special leather edition and the new ASUS logo, which does look to be great but doesn't really add on to the overall experience. That said, the performance of both the laptops will remain the same. In fact, the royal blue finish of the new ZenBook 13 is actually quite similar to the older generation's ZenBook 13, and we have a video of the review of that ZenBook 13 on our channel, so here's a card for the same. Make sure you watch that. Looking at the laptop from the outside, it is actually pretty much the same package as the previous generation. Well, obviously apart from the white leather finish with the gold accents. Now, not to rub salt in your wounds, but this thing actually looks freaking amazing. In fact, from a distance, it looks just like one of those premium journal books, and I absolutely love it. Onto the front, you get this gorgeous display. While minimizing the bezels, ASUS has managed to fit this 13.3-inch display into a smaller frame. In fact, it's so small that it is actually nearly the size of a single sheet of A4 paper. Also, that's not where the praises end. The ZenBook 13 is actually just 1.09 kgs, making it super portable, so you can carry it anywhere you go. To be fair, the design and build quality are pretty much the same as last year's. And honestly, that isn't a bad thing. The UX333 had a great design, and why change it if it ain't broke? In terms of I/O, not a lot has changed. Over to the left side, you'll find the DC charging port, followed by a full-sized HDMI port, a USB 3.0 port, and a USB Type-C port. On to the right side, you get a micro SD card slot, another USB-A port, and a 3.5mm headphone jack, followed by the LED indicator. Overall, the I/O options aren't bad. However, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I just really can't recognize why ASUS of all manufacturers still hasn't adopted the USB power delivery standard. I really wish with the new year coming in, the 2020 series of ASUS would actually embrace the new technology and we can finally have USB-C everywhere. The display is a 13.3-inch Full HD display with nearly 100% sRGB coverage. The bezels here are super minimal thanks to ASUS's Nano Edge display design. Now, there is a portion of the consumers out there that expect a 4K display. That said, on a panel this small, giving a higher resolution is going to offer absolutely no benefits but take a big cut out of your battery life. As such, I'm quite satisfied with the setup here, and there's hardly anything to complain about. The display is compact, color accurate, beautiful to look at, and a delight to use. Now coming on to my first big disappointment with the ASUS ZenBook 13, the keyboard. You see, the keys here are pretty decent and there's not a lot to complain about in terms of keystrokes or key travel, but the overall layout of the keyboard is what messes things up. Just like last time, you still get a dwarfed right shift key, which is absolutely crazy. My natural hand movement almost never managed to get the right keystroke, and I was instead constantly tapping on the up arrow. That is one thing that my hands were just not able to adapt to. Now, writing is an important part of my work, and for many users who look at the ZenBook 13, they would want a keyboard that allows them to be fast. The keystrokes are fine, and the 1.4 mm key travel is pretty decent too. I mean, it's far from worse, but for someone who demands their keyboard to be actually fast, I really can't recommend the ZenBook 13's keyboard wholeheartedly. This right here is ASUS's second generation ScreenPad 2, or as the company likes to call it, ScreenPad 2.0, which aims to offer a mobile-like experience cramped inside the touchpad section. Sadly, it does come with its cons. Let's talk about the positives first. The ScreenPad here is a treat to use. You can launch apps here, set custom shortcuts and whatnot. My daily setup was basically having my main work window open on the main display with WhatsApp or Slack open on the ScreenPad. It's almost like a mini secondary display for your work, and in that aspect, it actually works really well. Sadly, it works really well in that aspect only. As a touchpad, the ScreenPad here is just not up to the mark. I've always felt ASUS lacks a bit in the touchpad game, and this time the touchpad works really bad. Gestures don't register half of the time, there's a slight input lag, and honestly, tapping on it just doesn't work. Instead, you would have to resort to the press mechanisms, which I'm not really a fan of. Now, on the topic of keeping things similar from the previous generation, let's talk a bit about the audio. I did not really like the audio setup on the UX334, and now with the UX334, nothing has changed. It features the same bottom-firing speaker setup. The company claims that its ergo lift hinge should help in making the sound bounce off the speaker and be enhanced, if only that were true. The speakers are just not loud enough, the audio is really flat, and there is hardly any bass. The vocals are hushed, and to be honest, no genre plays well on it. I genuinely wish ASUS would have focused on this aspect a bit more. Okay, now here's an interesting bit. So the review unit that we got featured an 8th generation Intel i7 chipset paired with 16 GB of RAM and 1 TB of PCIe SSD along with the MX250 GPU. While that sounds great, as a consumer, the package that you get would feature a 10th gen Intel processor, which is any day better. The performance difference would be negligible, but it would certainly be noticeable. That said, the review unit that we have is no slouch either. I noticed zero lag in my day-to-day activity regardless of what I threw at it. The MX250 is also an upgrade over last year's MX150 and helps you achieve slightly more frames in games such as PUBG Lite or CSGO. It's not meant for gaming, nor for hardcore video editing, but for all the light tasks, this should work decently. Now, battery life is a major concern for all consumers out there who are looking at ultrabooks. I mean, you want to use your ultrabook on the go, and for that you need a pretty good battery life. Thankfully, with the ZenBook, that is not an area to be concerned about. So the ZenBook 13 UX334 actually packs in a 50 watt-hour battery that is actually decently sized for its package. In my usage, I was able to get about 5 hours of battery life, including a lot of web browsing and streaming songs of YouTube and Spotify, and 5 hours is actually a pretty decent time considering that the laptop was on high performance mode and it had not one but two displays running at the same time, if you count the ScreenPad. The laptop also comes with this very compact charger and it takes just under 2 hours to fully juice this puppy, which is great. So, the main question that remains is whether the ZenBook 13 UX334 is actually worth it. More importantly, is it better than the previous generation? Well, the answer to that is basically whether you want the ScreenPad 2 or not. Personally, I would actually go with the previous generation simply because it offers a better value for money, and the touchpad, even though it's not really a good touchpad, is still better than what we have over here. As for other users, if you're okay with using a USB mouse all the time, or maybe majority of your time, the ScreenPad 2 actually adds a lot of productivity value to your main use case, and I can actually see people getting used to it. In fact, if I was constantly at my desk, I would actually pick up the newer version of the ZenBook 13. Well, that's my take on the ZenBook 13. What are your thoughts about this laptop? And let me know in the comments below whether you'll be buying one or not. Well, that's me signing off, and I'll see you in the next one.